Hi guys, it's Briggs. Greetings. I just wanted to chat to you with regards to my IBOGA experience this year. So those of you that don't know, my name is Brigitte. I am a plant medicine facilitator. However, my allegiance lies with the mushrooms, so I'm a mushroom medicine woman, if you'd like to call it that. Mushrooms has always been the medicine that I work with, but obviously in the plant medicine and shamanic space I have worked with ayahuasca, Santa Maria, but Santa Maria more on the recreational space growing up, etc, etc. I'll be moving into more of a sacred Santa Maria space this week, actually, in fact, so I'll probably do a video about that as well. However, this year IBOGA called me, and those of you that have not delved into plant medicine experiences yet, these things generally call you. So within the plant medicine space you will hear people using terminology of ayahuasca called me, or the mushrooms called me, or such and such called me. I've all of a sudden, and basically what that means, it is your electromagnetic field is picking up on the frequency of that which it needs, or that which it is attuned to, based on a manifestation that you are creating. So IBOGA is one such manifestation that happened for me, and I just like to share my experience, my profound experience. So this happened in May of this year, 2019. It was one of the most, and will probably forever be one of the most memorable experiences, although I say that now. I've recently had an activation as well that was hugely profound, but these all go into the milestones of Ascension, I guess. So the IBOGA as a plant is just absolutely intelligent. Actually, the word that I would use is intelligent. Just to sort of chat about IBOGA a little bit more deeply, using the words IBOGA and ibogaine interlinked is not what you should be doing. IBOGA is basically the primary ingredient found within the root bark. It's sort of the total alkaloids of the plant, meaning really you're working with the plant spirit. So there's really this essence in working with IBOGA as its total alkaloid. Then you get the ibogaine, which would be an independent alkaloid from the plant, extracted, and it's sort of the purest and most potent alkaloid which is extracted for use in its medicinal context, particularly for addiction healing. So a lot of where IBOGA is used is within heavy addiction, with heroin, cocaine, meth, etc, etc. So it's a hugely profound healer. However, my experience was not to heal any addiction, although I was smoking at the time. It was really more of the psychospiritual intrigue, and because I work with plants and I'm a plant medicine woman and healer, I was intrigued by this plant, and that was my reason for moving to the IBOGA. It was a group ceremony that I did, which is also pretty amazing. I facilitate group experiences as well as privates, but the group experience with such a profound and huge plant was quite incredible, because through the addiction healing process I know that a lot of facilities function and fulfill this experience as a one-on-one experience, meaning what you and the plants in a private room with sort of medical checks happening in at certain times, blood pressure, etc, etc. Guys, bearing in mind that this is one of the most potently psychedelic plants known to man, the experience is sort of a full 24 to 36 hour fully immersive experience. And of course, when you are moving through an addiction healing process, there are many layers within the body, so meaning our physical, etheric, emotional, spiritual, mental, etc. bodies to heal. Obviously someone like me who's quite attuned with her chakra system, her bodies, it's not essential to be in this private space. And I enjoy the group sessions because I learn a lot from them holding space, particularly for my own groups. So that's where that came in. So it was a group experience. Our particular facilitator has been serving for 23 years. Him and his partner are an amazing team. I really love their essence. The other part of this experience that is truly profound is that it is done in absolute silence. Let me tell you, the experience of silence in and on this medicine is a hugely profound experience, and it really teaches us so much about how we are incapable and unable and really unwilling. It's not unable, but unwilling to silence ourselves. What was a huge benefit to me was that about 2 weeks before my session, I participated in a Vipassana, which was a 10-day Vipassana, my first one. So silencing myself prior to my IBOGA was one of the intentions. And it was just, I'm just so grateful to have done that beforehand, because the 36 hours of silence, it's just sort of, it's like this, you know, people say it's a deafening silence. That's what it is. For me, it was amazing. It was profound. It was beautiful. But knowing how other people's minds think and where their consciousness is at, I can imagine that silence to be deafening for them. And there are moments where it really is, where you're like, wow, I can literally hear the earth breathing. I can hear the flying around my head thinking. I can hear the stream, you know, flowing. These sorts of expressions is how I would describe that silence. You know, going in, we, as I mentioned, the facilitators that we worked with have been serving for the last 23 years, have been initiated by the Brigitte, which was also a beautiful experience for me, having sort of rooted this experience in those people that really have moved through the traditional use of this medicine. And just to comment, you know, the IBOGA called me, but I'd never really researched. It was weird. Usually I move through quite a fierce space in terms of the expansion of my consciousness. You know, it was just something that called me. I did the Vipassana, I prepped, I rocked up, I arrived, and boom, you know, I really didn't have time to think much about it. What occurred to me in the experience was, how did they discover this plant? How and when did they discover this plant? Coming out of the session, I learned that it was basically hunters, a husband and wife in the jungle who had been hunting for food. Sorry, I'm just sort of reading it here. What they found that particular evening was a porcupine, bringing that porcupine home, eating the porcupine, and then moving into a deeply shamanic space, a sort of 24-hour to 36-hour deeply shamanic space. Then moving back to the origin of finding that porcupine, seeing the plant that it was eating prior to their ingestion of it, and then bringing this medicine to the tribe. And of course, it is said in sort of shamanic culture that a lot of the information with regards to the botany in the jungle, so the plants in the jungle, have come through the consuming of plants in the jungle, and then the information coming to those tribal nations, those people, those custodians of those plants, the true ethnobotanists within the space, and therefore, and then information is received. And that's sort of how the IBOGA was discovered years and years ago. So again, we did this in a real true Brigitte fashion, all of us needing to wear white, all of us moving through this sort of, I can't remember what it was called, a sort of one-on-one chat with your tribal leader, as such, a confession space, sort of like a confessional. So moving through this confession space prior to your full ceremony being experienced. Really, that confession space is what's been happening in your life. What do you expect from this plant? Where your expectations are? What do you wish to release? So very similar to other plant medicine experiences. Then moving through a test dose. Then we begin at sort of 11:30, 12 o'clock midnight, moving to a 12-hour space of dosing, which is called your death experience. All right, your death experience is dosing on the hour, every hour. And then moving to dying, which is another 12 hours, and then moving to a dancing and rebirth experience. Just sort of quickly moving through this, it was probably one of the most intense third eye experiences I've ever had, in terms of, you know, a lot of people will say they don't experience visuals. It's not visuals in that sense, although I did have visuals, but it was very much aligned with the manifestation of what I was working on at that point in time. So my third eye opened with a jaguar coming out of the jungle, literally right into my face, so much so that I expressed in a and then it disappeared. Then these elephants came, loads of cats, loads and loads and loads of cats, lions, cheetahs, tigers, jaguars through the experience. It was incredible. Loads of ancestral people coming in, lots of tribal people. Those of you that work with the Star Nations, I could describe them much as the vegans. Just these sort of warriors coming through. A very, very dear friend of mine, her soul essence came through as if she was right there with me. One of the most profound experiences of this IBOGA journey for me was the following. Because I'm used to my energetic body and I understand how to work with the chakras, it was a beautiful experience for me to begin tasting and working on my astral body. So there were moments where I was so weighted down, so this embodiment of the medicine, that I could begin to work and live through my astral body. It took an immense amount of power and concentration to do that, and what I enjoyed about that was the teaching, meaning the moment I aligned into third eye and heart space, I was able to filter out you know, what they call the ancestral voices, the ancestors just talking and going and going and going. And it's really just this mind stuff going on. Once you create clarity of that and awareness, so remember, everything that I teach is in awareness. Once you have awareness of the conversation happening, bringing clearing and clarity to this point, moving into breath and in alignment with your chakras, I could then begin to work on my astral body, which was amazing. So for me, I feel that it is a medicine that I will do in the future again. It is not something that you want to mess with. It is a hugely profound experience. They call IBOGA the truth, and the reason I think it is that is because it really shows you the essence of everything, and that is spaciousness. Hi guys, sorry, my camera battery ran out. So this is sort of part 2, just continuing on where I left off with regards to the IBOGA experience. Basically, it was an experience, like I said, that really for me focused on a huge third eye space. As I said, this sort of jaguar came into my space, really amplifying this visual experience very much in a jungle. Yeah, very much in the jungle, you know, sort of seeing the fronds of the leaves rattling as this jaguar had come into my space. As I mentioned, elephant, loads of lions and cats, jaguars, just cats, loads of cats. As I said, moving further into the visual experience, really experiencing the soul of a friend, and then moving into that sort of mastery level, what I'd like to describe as a mastery level. And I think this was due to me understanding my energy body in the way that I do, and moving to that space of exploring with the astral body. So this part for me was absolutely fascinating. The downfall was that you get dosed on the hour every hour, and I feel that for me personally, I need a greater gap between dosing so that I have more of a chance when in that focused sort of space, moving through the chakras, that I can really focus on the sort of astral projection of my body, because it's I wouldn't want to say weakness of mine, but I'm very physically in tune with my body, and even though I'm fascinated by astral projection and do a lot of this in my dream space and have successfully projected through lucid dreaming, it is still something that I would like to focus on through conscious thought process, and this IBOGA experience really allowed me to do so. So that was really amazing from a plant medicine perspective, especially a light worker perspective, a healer's perspective, one that understands the human body as this energy system. The other fascinating part of the experience was the energy really that this plant held. And what I mean by that is the absolute enormity, of how huge into the macrocosmic scale of things it allows you to tune into through a certain amount of earth time, and then flipping that on its lid and moving to the absolute microcosmic experience. So it was an experience of enormity on such a grand scale that it's ineffable. Many people describe my journeys as an ineffable experience based on its multidimensional reality, etc. But this, wow, it's just ginormous, it's huge, it's profound, it's ineffable. And then coming to that microcosmic scale and experiencing the cellular experience is part and parcel of the package as well. So yeah, that was my experience. I believe what interested me, and the plant came to me as well. So not so much the plant, but the flower, the sananga flower. Sananga is something that the hunters used to use for their visual stimulation through nighttime hunting. So that plant and flower came to me really beautifully, really vividly in the experience. Again, what interests me about the IBOGA is that I believe it is such an intelligent plant, especially coming from a facilitator perspective, that I believe, much like the others, that it gives you exactly what you need and not necessarily what you want. Meaning, I think some people are, I don't know which word to use, disenchanted perhaps with their experience, maybe not understanding fully what they've really gone through, and I guess this is where there may be a bit of, I don't know. I think this all depends on where your consciousness lies and how expanded you are in your field to what you can understand and actually take from and embody through the experience that you've just had. So that part of it really interests me with the plant in terms of what people have learned from it, and it pulled me to really want to work with this plant more, which may or may not manifest. We'll see where we go. There's a lot of work that I need to do. So, but again, it's not the first time, it won't be the first time that I visit IBOGA, and I'm just so grateful for the experience, and for ticking it off, and especially facing any fears that manifested prior to it, even though I said I went into it with quite a bit of ease. It's a huge experience. You know, it's not just 6 hours in and out like other plant medicine experiences. It is huge. I mean, you are holding the space for yourself. Also, another thing that occurred is really this experience of the gyroscope. So I felt like there were 3 sort of clockwork, like Swiss clockwork mechanisms working within my field, one being body, the other being mind, the other being spirit, and just working like this. I was very grateful to have done a lot of body work in my past, meaning I was a gymnast, because the moment you move on the IBOGA, it just becomes sort of, your reality becomes shifted and you move into a purge process. And I actually only purged around about the 14th hour, which was fascinating for me. And I was consciously pushing energy out of my feet through, you know, my foot chakra into Earth Star, consciously doing that and grounding that into Gaia. So I believe many people wouldn't understand or be conscious of doing that. So again, I feel that these experiences, when used as psycho-spiritual, to enhance and expand consciousness, is a completely different game to moving through healing and your addiction processes, etc., etc. So yeah, that was my experience with IBOGA. Truly, truly profound. Absolute respect to all facilitators working with this medicine. Again, in any facilitation, be wise of who you join, for what reason, what purpose, what is your objective, what are you needing out of the experience? Are they the right people? Do they have enough experience? Are you alone? Are you in a group? How long have they been serving? Is this in alignment with you? That's the only question you have to ask. This is very much in alignment with me. I've been wanting to share this experience for a long time, so thanks for sitting through this, and loads of love. Bye.